Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. In this video, we will discuss about the use of variables and how do we create and use them in Rust. So in the last one, in the Rust series, we discussed about the introduction to Rust and a bit overview how you can use Rust and how you can work with Rust. That's what we discussed in our last video. In this one, we'll talk about the variables one. If you remember, in our last video I showed you how you can install and download Rust in your local machine, but from this video onwards I will use the Rust playground. That's the play.rustlang.org. That's the website you can use to just run simple Rust codes, simplified codes to learn Rust. Okay, so this is what we'll use from now onwards, because the local machine one is more used for running bigger projects, not for simply a task. Okay, for simple task, Rust Playground is the best one. So talking about variables in Rust, a variable is declared with the keyword let. So we declare a variable using the let keyword. So each variable has its unique name. That's obvious, we know. And when a variable is declared, then it can be bound to a value, or the value can be bound somewhere later in the program. So this is more like the Java, if you know Java. So you don't need to initialize the variable at the very beginning, but you can initialize the variable in the later stages of the program also. But unlike Python, you don't need to do it at the declaration of the variable. Okay, so say we just start typing here. Say we say let, and say we name a variable as a. Okay, we give the name of the variable as a. With a semicolon, we just declared a variable. Okay, now this is just a variable declared, and here the variable is not bound to any value. That is, we do not assign any value to that variable. If you want to assign any value, we can do something like a equal to 5. This can be done, or we can do like first declare let a, then we can say a equals 5. Both works fine for us. Okay, that's the way we do or declare variable here in Rust. Now, you may ask like what kinds of variable it can be. Since we didn't mention a as any type, we didn't mention the data type of the variable, right? So yes, data type is not necessary. Whenever you just type in the value, it takes the data type. We'll discuss a bit about it in later stages of this video. Okay, since the first step we declared a variable, let's try to print out the statement and try to see the output. So for that, we use a function, or you can say a macro function called a println. So we'll say println. Okay, so that's println, and it ends with the exclamation. So that's how this macro function works, and we will simply write say the number is okay, the number is, just give it and go ahead and type a. Okay, so this is the way, if you remember, we used to do in normal Java. This is the simple way you can try out. If you just run this program, you can see if it gets any errors or not. Okay, see how this happens here. If this will simply show you the execution. Look, this gives an error. The error is, look, this gives us an error. The error says the argument is never used. Why? Because in Rust we need to mention like where we are using it. Okay, for that, just give a third bracket, like the second bracket here, and now see what happens here. Okay, now see, the number is 5. That's what it prints. So you need to specify in Rust like exactly at what position you are willing to print the value. Okay, so this is not like Java where you can simply put a value, write a string, then give a comma and write a variable and go and typing. This works in this manner. Now we got a integer type number. So 5, if you know that 5 is an integer type number, and we can also work with some other type of values, like let say b, and here we are just saying b is a, say write something like 10. Okay, so if you write this thing, then what will happen, this is simply take the value of b and print it. Look, it says uh, okay, it says that it's an unused assignment since I assigned A but never used it. But at the end, if you just so these are basically two warnings it's giving me that I have assigned like a variable A but never used it in the program. But at the end, if you just look at the output, so output gives you the number is 10, ten. So that's the what we used the variable 10 as. Okay, so to avoid this assignment, you need to remember take whatever variable you are using, and you need to use that variable somewhere. Okay, so that's how this thing works. Okay, there's a bit to know about the this println. Okay, so this println is basically a macro function. uh, so this macro function helps you print the so this, remember, this println is actually, you can say, a function, but this is a macro function. So you are making a function call to just print your values. Okay, like if we call the println macro and then show the value of a, the variable a or the variable b, before it's bound, the compiler returns an error. Like what I'm trying to say, uh, look, if you do something like this and say I remove this statement, and if you try to print this value, look what it gives you. This would give you an error. Okay, now look here, that's the thing, it says you that it gives you an error. The error is basically it didn't find the type of the type of a. Like whenever you bound the value with some like bound the value with some value, then it gets a type, and thus it works in that way. Okay, now moving into the immutability and mutability of the variables. Look, in a value in Rust, whenever you declare a value, you cannot change the value. Okay, what I mean by that, the variables declared are immutable by default. Okay, you cannot change it. So when a variable is immutable, when you say a variable is immutable, that means after value is bound to a name, you cannot change that value. Okay, for instance, if you say that let a is 5, that's what we did first, and then we say we print this, just remove some space. Okay, we print this value a. Now what I'm trying to do, after we printed this value, say we just changed it to 10. Okay, so first we initialized a as 5, and then we are writing a is 10. Now after that, if we just try to print the value of a, that is if we just print the value of a and just see what happens, this will give you an error because you cannot change the value. These values are immutable. Look, the first assignment of a, it shows you exactly that this is the a equal to 5, the first assignment of a, and then you are trying to do a equal to 10, and you cannot assign twice to immutable variable. Okay, that's what it says you exactly, like this is what you are doing the error. Okay, so in case you need to do this, you can do this by declaring the variable as mute. Okay, how you can do that? In case you just write a statement like let mute a equal to 5. So once you say mute a, then it consider it's a mutable value. Look, it prints the both the values. Okay, so that you need to take care. Like whenever you need to change the value of a variable again and again, then you should declare it as a mutable value, like mutable variable, and else in other cases you need to declare the variable as immutable. That's how it works. Now, next thing we should see is the variable shadow. So what uh, that mean? So say you have a variable a. Okay, I'm using the variable again and again to just let you understand how this works. Now you declared a variable a as 5. Then in the next step you were saying, let me just erase these two lines. Okay, I erase this, and in the next step you are saying, again you are saying let a equal to, say, a plus 5. All right, now look, in the next step again I am saying let a equal to a multiplied by 2. Okay, now run this. Like after that we are just printing the variable. What happens here? Look, what happens here? Oh, sorry, I missed a semicolon here. uh, just run this. Look what happens. We got a value. So what this is called the shadowing of, like the variable shadowing. So you can declare a new variable that uses the same name. You can declare a new variable that uses the same name as an existing variable. The new declaration creates a new binding. In Rust, the operation we this kind of operation we call as shadowing. Okay, because a new variable shadows the previous variable. The old variable still exists, but you cannot refer, like the old variable a equal to 5 still exists there, but you cannot refer to it in the scope anymore. Like you cannot refer to it back. Okay, that's how this happens. Now remember, like if you're doing something like this is kind of a waste of memory, because the initial declaration remains in the memory, but you cannot refer to that declaration anymore. Okay, so this is something you need to take care of, because if you're doing this again and again within a like a large loop, then this would just go out of memory in a small span of time. Okay, so that was all for this video. In the next video we'll discuss about the types of variables we have, and a bit more about the data types we have in Rust. Okay, so basically we'll discuss about the type of variable: integer type, float type, string, character, booleans. Okay, so that's what we discuss in the next video. And also we'll look into how signed and unsigned variables works here, and how you can define the length of the variable, like a 32-bit, a 64-bit, a 16-bit, 8-bit length variable, how we can do that. We'll look all this in the next video. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope to see you soon in my next video as well. Thank you. Also make sure you all subscribe to this channel and like the video as well.